Look, I know this title is long, but hear me out. The FNAF movie was good, don't get me wrong, but it could have been much better if it included elements from the movie Willy's Wonderland. I mean, I've been waiting for the FNAF movie for years. Ever since I was first obsessed in 2014, I was daydreaming and wondering what a movie version of the game I was all over would be about, or how it would go down. And of course, there's been concept trailers, fan movies, and animated versions of the story, but there was never a movie. For years, there was talks of a movie being made, from Warner Bros. Picking it up to Blumhouse picking it up, and then different directors coming and going, and then the movie was in development hell for years and years. We were left waiting for almost 9 years. And finally, after all that time, we get the FNAF movie. And look, I know there's been like 100 reviews already, and that's not what this video is supposed to be about. But in order to understand why I think elements of Willys would have made this movie better, let's talk about what worked in the movie and why I'm making this video in the first place. Oh, and spoiler warning, by the way, I don't know if you've seen the movie or not. I'm sure you have, but like, if you haven't watched it, go watch it first. For a movie with a $20 million budget, the sets and the obvious animatronics were done insanely well. When you imagine FNAF in real life, this is exactly what you would picture in your mind. They look fantastic, and the movement from the actors was spot on every time they were on screen. I was literally screaming. William Afton, easily one of the best parts of this movie, but also one of the most underutilized characters. Matthew Lillard killed it as playing William Afton or Springtrap, but honestly, he didn't get enough screen time and was kind of pushed to the side for most of the movie, until bro magically shows up at the end and is like fully suited out of nowhere. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was screaming and clapping like everybody else was, but I feel like we needed more of him. But I feel like we needed more of him in some fashion, such as a flashback or something like that, because we needed more of him to help build up, I guess, the scene where he, appears, I guess. But honestly, I think he was one of the main strong points of the movie, because I really like how Matthew Lillard played William. I mess up the names. Josh Hutcherson and the actor for Abby. I kind of forgot her name, but Josh did a really good job playing the literally me character, Mike Schmidt. His performance gave you a good sense of why his character is so depressed and filled with trauma, and why he acts the way he does with Abby. I also think the actress for Abby played Abby well and made her such a likable character. How she acted in certain scenes where Mike was being in his depression era, when she was talking to the animatronics, or the very end, where they're at the end of they're having spaghetti or whatever at the end, and she's like, "Can we go see them again?" And Mike's like, I think them together was a strong point of the movie. I think if it was just Mike, it wouldn't have worked as well. I think another thing, after rewatching the movie again, is noticing the use of match cuts. I can't say match cuts, which worked really well for scenes such as someone getting killed or when Abby's falling over. I remember when the cupcake is killing the guy and chewing on his face or whatever, there's a match cut of the guy throwing like a bat at the prize counter. And then when Abby's falling over in one of the scenes, when she's like opening the door, on the TV screen you can see a cartoon character falling over. Like you should know what a match cut is, I guess, if you know anything about film, but if you somehow didn't know what a match cut is, that's basically what a match cut is. So like another example is when we see Max getting eaten, we then see another shot of a cartoon moose or bear eating something. Do I really have to explain this? Yes I do, because I know there's some people who I force to watch my videos and they don't know much about film. Anyways, the fan service. Scott knew what he was doing when it comes to the fans. The Matt Pat cameo was really great. Honestly, had everybody screaming. I didn't even get to hear what he was saying because everybody was screaming so loudly. Even though Aunt Jane interrupted his line, he said it's just a theory. She like instantly talked, which I think was kind of stupid. But also Corey's cameo was also really good, even though pretty much we all knew he was going to be in the movie. Everyone was still screaming regardless. So, and I feel like they didn't really take too much away from the plot, I guess, versus like having the YouTubers as like a main like character, I guess, would kind of take away, I guess. And also all the Easter eggs and trolls Scott added throughout the movie really had us looking at every background detail. And of course, this is like soundtrack related. Adding the Living Tombstone song during the end credits was like the perfect cherry on top. But despite all the good this movie had, there were a lot of flaws. My main gripe is that a lot of people kept repeating on so many reviews that it's not scary enough. Now, I know I wasn't expecting like FNAF VHS level horror, which is a lot of fans, I guess, wanted, but obviously that's not what FNAF is. But I also wasn't expecting a Goosebumps episode level of horror. It felt like a kid's version of a horror movie, I guess, if that makes sense. It had no real elements of horror or suspense throughout most of the movie. Even like when Foxy was going after Abby, that was supposed to be suspenseful. You obviously know there's no way they're going to kill off Abby, so there's no real suspense, if that makes sense. The characters really lost all of their scariness, and a lot of people have said this because of the tent scene. And honestly, I mean, it wasn't even a gore aspect. It just mainly lacked a lot of tension to make these animatronics seem like an actual threat. During the break-in scene, they were a scary, vicious threat to those characters. But once Mike and Vanessa or Abby shows up, they're magically no harm and they're all cuddly and friendly. It's like, we aren't going back to Freddy's for another night of survival. We're going back to hang out with the gang. And okay, I know, I'm sorry I'm dragging this on, but there is something that Willys did so much better than the Fnaf movie, which is the animatronics. Even though I'm gonna say this, I forgot to say this earlier, is that Willy's Wonderland is basically just a knockoff movie of the Fnaf movie, I guess. Well, it came out before the Fnaf movie, but it's like a parody, I guess, parody of the game Five Nights at Freddy's. But anyways, what they did with the animatronics is they made them feel like an actual threat the entire movie. They could kill off any character without moment's notice. It even seemed like the main character of the movie, Nicolas Cage, could have been killed off in like an instant by one of the animatronics. So they make the animatronics an actual threat, but I guess in a stupid way. Anyways, back to the FNAF movie. I think another main gripe that sort of left a bad taste in my mouth was the entire Aunt Jane plot line. It just led nowhere, it had no use, and in the end, Bro just dies. And yippee, she's gone. The entire thing about Mike losing a sister, the whole plot line is just completely gone. The second Aunt Jane dies because of Golden Freddy.
She fell asleep.
And also, Golden Freddy, I guess, wasn't established beforehand, so he just shows up and kills her. And I mean, throughout the whole movie, I thought the Golden Freddy, the child Golden Freddy was Freddy the whole time. I didn't know it was Golden Freddy until I watched a different video talking about the movie. So I guess they should have explained that a little more. I guess fans are supposed to understand that, but if you were not a fan and didn't know, you wouldn't know the difference between Freddy and Golden Freddy. Anyways, I feel like Aunt Jane was just the lady from Casper with her funny lawyer, and she really didn't have much to add to the story, and honestly, didn't really need to be a part of the movie. Because like all the things that happened, or all the things that she caused, I guess, to happen, could have been written better. Like instead of Mike looking bad in his court case, if the random goons destroyed Freddy's, why not have those people be grieving families who want revenge on Freddy's? Like they're the parents of the kids whose lives been taken, so they go to Freddy's and destroy it or whatever, and then Vanessa's like, oh, it's been destroyed, come back to Freddy Fazbear's. Her whole plotline, I guess, had no point at all, I guess. Finally though, I think this is kind of a throwaway thing to hate. I didn't come to Five Nights at Freddy's to watch Mike do 5 sleeps at Freddy's. Like bro came there just to sleep half the movie and he's just sleeping. His ass is not working. Like I do understand that the movie's plot and theme was about dreaming, but I think they shouldn't have spent more than like 30 minutes of him being in the woods, dreaming, talking to the ghost children. And you know, that's just a throwaway thing, I guess. But overall, the FNAF movie was still worth the wait and all the hype. Although, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. But this video was not supposed to be a review. And look, we're spending half a video reviewing the movie. I need to organize my scripts better. Now, you must think I'm crazy trying to compare Willy's Wonderland, a cheap knockoff version of the FNAF movie. And I am. Anyways, if you somehow haven't seen Willy's, you should also go watch that. Or I mean, you don't really have to, but to sum up the movie, Nicolas Cage plays a quiet man just like me. So in order to fix his car, he has to clean up an abandoned kids animatronic pizza hot dog place.
Kids laughing, smiling, eating hot dogs.
So not the exact plot of the FNAF movie, but I guess from watching the movie, nowhere near as refined and good as the FNAF movie is. And I remember when I saw the FNAF movie trailer, my biggest fear was that it would turn out like Willy's Wonderland. And surprisingly, there are a lot of similarities. I can't say similarities, even though it's clear that the FNAF movie did them better. I think a lot of aspects from this movie could have made the FNAF movie better. I think my first major thing is that Willys did, that I believe was cut from the FNAF movie, was the use of flashbacks. When the cop lady, or whatever her name was... Oh yeah, did I also mention that this movie has a cop lady who also has a connection to the animatronics? When the cop lady explains the backstory of the pizza hot doggeria, we are shown flashbacks and scenes of what happened to build on the story of, you know, the plot, I guess. Which in this case was the movie's killers, you know, killing. But I mean, at least they showed what happened. Versus in the FNAF movie, to a non-FNAF game player or fan, you wouldn't understand who was the one killing other than the yellow rabbit. And I even had to explain this to my mom, that the opening credits were showing what was happening. But I feel like the movie really just needed to show more of what happened, I guess, just like Willys did. And I think that's one of the first elements that FNAF movie could have used. And I feel like they probably filmed them, I guess, but maybe there was like a deleted scene. I'm not too sure. I think the FNAF movie needed this when Vanessa was trying to talk to Daddy Mike about the past. Another thing that I mentioned earlier is how the goons or guys who broke into Freddy's could have had a reason to break in other than Aunt Jane's plotline. As for some reason in Willys, I don't remember the reason, I guess, but her and her friends are like has a vendetta against the Willy's Wonderland. I don't remember the reason, but I think, yeah, like they were trying to get revenge, I guess, on Willy's Wonderland for whatever happened at Willys. So I think FNAF movie could have used that as well. A family trying to get revenge, breaking in and destroying the place. It made a lot more sense than, I guess, Aunt Jane's plotline. And maybe Mike would have wondered why they broke in or something. Also, if I forgot to mention, most of these elements are story elements and not really filmmaking techniques, as it's 1,100% billion clear who did much better. Another big thing was the fighting. In Willy's Wonderland, basically we see Nicolas Cage fight the animatronics viciously and stupidly, but despite this, the animatronics are not easily defeated in one punch, or in the FNAF movie's case, one taser gun shot or whatever. I also think this really eliminated all threat of them doing anything to Mike or Abby, just because if someone wanted to escape these animatronics, all they had to do was tase them and boom, they're dead. Well, they're dead for a little bit. It would also be a lot more menacing if they weren't affected by a small ass taser gun. Even Mike was like, okay, damn, you're dead now. I just think by giving them such an easy weakness, it really eliminates all fear of them. In Willy's Wonderland's case, I have a feeling a taser would barely do anything to them. The only thing that could kill them, kill the animatronics in Willys, was Nicolas Cage going at them. I mean, I guess it's stupid because nobody else could kill the animatronics but Nicolas Cage. I guess that's kind of stupid, but they weren't easily as taken down. I still think they felt more menacing compared to the FNAF animatronics. Does that mean that the entire FNAF games could easily be beaten if bro brought a taser to work? Like, I don't know. Something about that just seems weird to me. Anyways, the last thing I think the FNAF movie could have used better was the kills.
Oh, too late.
Now, I do understand that the movie was rated PG-13 and the FNAF game series was not really gory, but a lot of PG-13 movies can really push what can be shown off, and there are a lot of really good PG-13 kills out there. But like I mentioned before, their way of combating this was the use of match cuts, which I really did like. But you know, when you come to watch FNAF, you expect maybe a little more from killer animatronics. And they definitely could have shown them, you know, stuffing characters into suits or being more of a killer, I guess, than what they were shown in the movie. But I do understand that they were, you know, kids sold into the animatronics, so I guess that sort of makes sense why they were, you know, shown as all cuddly and friendly in the tent scene. I think Willys, even though Willy's Wonderland was rated R, did more with their kills. You can see the gore, and there's a good amount of it. Very bad gore, I might add, but they really showed what the meaning of killer animatronics means, even if it was a stupid way of doing so. And I do understand that the FNAF movie had much more of a story and, you know, plot to the animatronics, unlike Willys. But yeah, I don't know. Willys animatronics were like actual killers, like the animatronics were killers, and then, you know, in the FNAF movie, the animatronics are kids, I guess. But I really think that these animatronics need to be more of a threat and less as good guys, I guess. Maybe if the threat was more focused on William and less on the animatronics for like half the movie, I guess it would make a little more sense, I guess, if them being friendly. Like, I'm trying to explain this, I guess, the best I can. Most of the movie, we saw the animatronics as a threat, and then magically they're friendly now. But then William comes in. I feel like William should have been the threat the entire movie, and the animatronics maybe weren't the threat most of the movie. If you know what I mean, if that makes sense. Like the whole threat aspect kind of just goes away once they become all friendly to Abby. In Willys, the animatronics were kept as a threat the entire story. In FNAF, they were showed and played out as a threat, only to turn into the good guys after setting up they were scary and evil. I understand the lore, but at the same time, it just doesn't feel right. Overall, the FNAF movie wasn't perfect, but it was still really good no matter what the critics say. It just had a lot of flaws and needed some more meaty storyline. I think that Scott said somewhere, or maybe I'm pulling this out of my ass, but that the second FNAF movie will fill in a lot of the plot holes of this first movie, and that he's listening to the feedback of the fans, which means that in the next movie, hopefully there will be more flashbacks and storyline to actually show what happened, and as well as making the animatronics scarier, I guess? I don't know. If William's not in control anymore, I don't know how they would be scary anymore, I guess. But then also, I guess at the same time, William would become Springtrap. You know, I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna do the second FNAF movie. Let's just hope that it's more polished, a lot more better than the first movie was. And I do understand this movie took almost 8 to 9 years to make, so it's understandable to have all these different plot thingy-maboobers. Scott said he rewrote the script a lot of times, and there were way worse scripts than the script that we got for this movie. And also, studios like to change things around. Sometimes it happens, I guess. I don't know. Regardless, both films are somewhat equally good. I wouldn't say Willys is like good, but it's only good because really Nicolas Cage killing animatronics. But the FNAF movie was good for 100 different reasons. Either way, we waited a long time for this, and the movie was still extremely good. It just needed to fix a lot of minor things, I guess. If it just had some more elements from the knockoff film of the movie, it would have been perfect. Combining one good movie and one bad movie, like a Pokemon evolution, would have led to a perfect FNAF movie. But I think Scott knows what he's doing for the next one. You know, was this a stupid idea to compare the FNAF movie with a literal knockoff? Yes it was. But did you still watch this whole video? Probably not. Because why would anyone watch my entire video through? But if you somehow did, make sure to let me know if my opinions are stupid or amazing in the comments. Make sure to subscribe, and it was nice having you.